reading out one Emily Monaghan's positive review of The King's Demons. A Defense, she titles it, 1st to the 9th, 08. Come on, it's not that bad. It's hard to go against the grain in a fandom as large as ours. Some episodes I love despite their failings, but I genuinely believe this is a good episode with an undeserved reputation. The Doctor is on his merciful finest form here, trying to save everyone in various ways and with mixed results. The Doctor's open offer of help to the family defines his motives just as the Master's universe domination speech spells out his ultimate goal. While the Doc comments that the Master's plan is only small-time villainy, to me it seemed thoroughly consistent with his character. It works through disguise and subtlety. He manipulates the Robot King, the Doctor and his hosts in turn, and this is one of his few plans cunning enough to actually succeed. The idea isn't that the loss of the Magna Carta will suddenly destroy English democracy. It's just part of a long-term plan. With Chameleon, the Master can chip away at the King's reputation for as long as he needs to until chaos sets in. I love all the double dealing that goes on, each of them adapting to the changing situation with that poor family stuck in the middle. Their final scene also made me understand their relationship better than ever before. Despite the lives at stake, I felt a genuine sense of chess honor in their dealings, like a sophisticated game for the two higher beings. The Doctor or the Master could have permanently stopped the other hundreds of times. Here there is a sense that to do that would be very unsporting and not at all cricket, especially if the Master's claim that the challenge inspires me. The Master does eventually get to kill the Doctor, but in my reading of the episodes I've seen, excepting Umlogopolis, I don't believe he would actually let it happen, not permanently. The Doctor's language here reinforces the image. He's reminded that humans are a primitive people, and his question, can anyone play, as much a game to both of them. As for Dr. Liberate's Chameleon, he doesn't press his advantage, does he ever? He dashes off with an unspoken agreement that the Master will leave too. Could have easily continued without the robot. Instead, he too leaves immediately. The Doctor even leaves a tissue compression eliminator, a blatantly terrible idea from a moral standpoint, but not in terms of a game. Screwing up his TARDIS is part of the fun, and well within the rules. Confiscating it would put it on an all too serious level, particularly coming straight after Enlightenment, another story about rival higher beings who are entertaining themselves at the expense of everyone else. The other Doctor is naturally horrified, but there is something similar in his dealings with the Master. The Master gets a lot of fun in this story. Once he has lost the sword fight, which is terribly fun in its own right, his control over the Robot King could have easily followed up on the Doctor's unwillingness to kill him, let him depart in a simple way. Instead, he demonstrates how he knows his old friend and gives him a good moral twist, letting the Robot King condemn him to death, making the Doctor choose between them, and knowing that he will be forced to kill him by a different route. These adversaries go way back. The Master's accusation of moral scruples or suggestion he regenerated is as much the banter of friends. And I like the idea he disguises himself even when not expecting the Doctor. He does it so often you've got to assume he actually enjoys it. Argument also valid for why he spends 2 episodes of Time Flight as Khalid when he doesn't strictly need to. But it's pretty much all the fun that is to be had here. The medieval background is atmospheric and nicely done, especially the musical interlude, which sets the scene and makes for a creepy reveal. The supporting characters are about as good as ever they are. Although the faux Shakespearean talk got old quickly, King John is also excellent, sinister, powerful, and pantomime in the best of ways. As for the companions, Tegan again gets to demonstrate why she polarizes people. On the one hand, all she does is moan. On the other, she is a fully rounded human being who takes objection to being cold and threatened with death when they could be on a warm space beach instead. It's interesting to see her attempt to murder, too, just a few episodes after a great conversation between her and Turlo on the topic in Terminus. It's easy to forget Auntie Vanessa, but boy doesn't she get vital. We also get to see the Doctor finally react to her nagging in a scene which says a lot, both of them. Certain quarters could also have a field day with Chameleon turning into Tegan and the suggestion that that image is the strongest in the Doctor's mind. I leave that romantic minefield to you. Turlo doesn't have as much to do, though he whines just as much without the Black Guardian over his shoulder as with. His final line to the Master is pretty good too. It's nice to allow the boy a flash of heroism once in a while, even if provoked by irritation. Companions are always fatally underwritten, especially in the older bits of the old series. Turlo has always been, for me, a triumph of performance over script. He really can ring an interesting role, even out of the most mundane dialogue, as here. It also contains one of the few goofy moments the Fifth Doctor would ever pull. The Doctor is, at his core, a curious and arrogant genius who tries to help people while mucking about, to disguise how dark and scary he can get. You could give points if you like. 3 was more arrogant and less dark. 4 was predominantly daft arrogant. 7 is famously darker and scarier. When you cut it down to points, the Fifth Doctor does seem to be lacking in several quarters. He can be all those things at times, but just isn't. This backs up my theory that he is the midlife crisis Doctor. The gist is he does all the things he always does, but somehow it doesn't work as well. Midnight in slow motion, spread over 3 years if you like. So extra. But he's the best swordsman in France. The Doctor. Luckily we are in England. All in all, an enjoyable episode which is unfairly maligned. It certainly comes highly recommended for Ainley Master fans because I think it's one of his best. 9 out of 10, yes really, it's that good, now give it a fair rewatch.